Oh, good afternoon, everybody. You'll have to excuse me a bit. I've been under the dreaded, the dreaded lurgy all week. I do feel much better today than I've felt for the last few days. And we are at time to get back into doing the live sessions. We got up to number 11. This is number 12. I'm going to run you through, just show off my new sheet a little bit. And what I want to try and do now is tie these into the podcast. So I talked a bit about variance in the podcast on Monday last week. If you haven't listened to that, do at some stage. And I want to try and tie these into that. So the whole idea of this is to give you a lot of strategies that you can look at and decide, yeah, I like the look of that one. Obviously, then you can't do everything. I've been talking to my group this afternoon about you've got to pick your spots really and manage yourself as much as anything. So sort of as we go through these now, that's what I want to talk about. I want to show off the methods, some of the methods we've talked about. Today I'm going to talk about the first half goal 1.5 method, which is probably my favorite of all the methods that I do trading wise. I'm talking trading, not fixed odds here. I'm talking when I actually control whether I enter, when I exit. And I've just had a conversation literally 5 minutes ago on Telegram with somebody, and they said he's in here actually. Well, he's not embarrassing. I want people to ask questions. It's not a matter of that, but I'm not going to say that it's him. But one of the phrase he used was entering a certain trade, a little vagary when to pull a trigger. I think one of the key things that you've got to be is absolutely crystal clear. Of all the stuff I give you, I try and give you really predetermined rules. You enter, you enter then and you exit then, and you know exactly what your loss will be, you know what your potential winnings will be, and then that's when you can max it forward, because you can look and go, let's say, for example, we are making 0.3 points per average on a trade, but on a losing one, we're losing 1. We know we've got to win 4 times 0.3 is 1.2 for every loser we have of 1, and we've got to get ourselves, obviously we've got to better that strike rate. That's the absolute minimum strike rate we want to be able to better that. It is a bit of a nasty cough, Damo, but I'll improve. Right, just say a few good afternoons before I show off my sheet, and I'm going to give you some trades. I appreciate some of you will probably want to get done. I had a couple of texts, won't be here, want to watch the old Manc Derby. What do you want to watch that for? Waste of time. 2 shit teams. Spurs have won the league. Move on. He said it. He said Spurs have won the league. He said it. I'm pissing about. Right. Afternoon, Chris. Afternoon, Jason. Afternoon, Rod up in Manchester. Afternoon, Ian Fincher and Pat Harvey. Lovely to see you. Jim, Neil. Lovely to see you. Martin. Haven't forgotten you, son. Just been a bit ill. I'll deal with you next week. Imri, I haven't forgotten you either. I've got your answer. I'll answer that this week as well. So Martin, Imri, I'll get back to you. Darren, lovely to see you. Good 0-0, son, yesterday. Good 0-0 with the old Celtic. Pointless and goalless. There you are. Afternoon, Mark. Andrew Stead, hello again. Jason Caton, hope you're well. Neil, Gareth Cooper, lovely to see you. Nice to see you've been active in Telegram, asking questions in the Bet Angel group, I think. Mark. Wales is nice and sunny for you down there. Andy, lovely to see you. Hope you're well. Tim, nice. Paul, Derek, Andrew, John Seal, lovely to see you. Mr. Richmond, always a pleasure. Thought we'd get in before the NFL starts and we lose you to the old oval ball. Alan Hind, I'm still reeling from the call at Cleveland, by the way. Chris Kant, lovely. Chris, how are you? Lovely to see you. Middle Earth, John Grigg, and Mr. Moffat, lovely to see you. Get my data done. Love him. Right, poor signal down in Devon. Oh, don't tell my missus that. Steve, lovely to see you with a Leeds badge. Right, I'm going to just jump straight in with my new sheet, explain a bit more about why I've had it built, what I'm doing, show you how I pull some trades off it, and we'll go from there. Right, let's. I've run a new version of this, Alistair, since speaking to you. I've run it. I've worked a way to do it. I'm double sheets now. See. Run one on one VPS, one on the other. I can do more than one market. Right, present. Should know how to do all this by now. I'm not like them Carnberries or them Peter Webbs on the old YouTubes, am I? With their little or Chrissy spreadsheets on his channel. Right. So I'm going to run you through some first half goal 1.5 trades. So basically this is FTS Data Advanced. So one of the things I've been doing over the last couple of months, with the benefit of Alistair and, well, to aid him as well, is try and get all our data exactly the same. So I was using FTS Advanced with a different layout because I built it first in effect, and then we moved to share it. I'm just trying to get everything consistent, so we're working off exactly the same set of data. So mine went back to 2017. I've now cut that down to 2020. The reason I kept it from 2017 was I wanted to see if there was any difference in COVID in that period. So I had data before, data after, and then COVID, and I could look and go, well, that was an absolute shocker in the middle. It wasn't really. It wasn't. It was negligible, any difference, slightly down on goal production in some leagues, and affected the home wins a bit without fans, but nothing that moved mountains. So I was happy to let that go. I don't need data that's 6 years old for the way that I operate. So this is FTS data sheet, and all I do here now, this is a new sheet I've had built. I'm up to version 29. So this has been the best part of a year-long project with Chris, and basically I've got so I get the data, I can just import it. So for me, everything just comes in. I can import that data, in it comes, and I can import the day's fixtures. So I've opened up the FTS Advanced sheet that you guys, exactly the same sheet you guys would get, and I import that. So I've got the data with results up to whatever the last game was this morning, something around here in South Korea, Suwon. And in that game there, if I go across, I've got results, and then I've got today's fixtures. And the only thing this does is line everything up the same, obviously, because in the FTS Advanced Day sheet, we don't have all the results. It just lines it all up for me without the results. So I can analyse today's fixtures with regard to the database. And then I get a lovely little drop-down box here. I click this analytics overlay, and I can basically do lots of the stuff that the tools do, because I'm not really doing anything that tools don't do, but I've just got it all in one place for me for ease of speed and things. See, Villa 2-0, see, Villa top 4. So I can click a market. So if we look at how I did the Kevin Kelly method with him with the homes, I sort of showed Kevin a method there, and he's taken that and run. But now I can do that for any market. So I can basically go over 2.5 goals, click that team there. Let's click a game coming up, actually. Let's go to one that's coming up. 3. Well, let's do the Man United derby. So there we go. So we can click the Man United derby. Over 2.5 this morning was 1.82. And I can click that at a team level. And I get a little report telling me that Man United have had 23 games between 1.76 and 2 for over 2.5 goals. PSV Eindhoven 5-2. Who's on the news? Who's on the newsletter treble? Second legs, well, they're not going to draw from there. Ajax are terrible, aren't they? What a fall down. We had Leipzig last night in the bag. PSV were 2-1 down. Never, not even sweated in the bag onto the evening game. And Rangers have just gone 1-0 down. Darren, they'll get a penalty in a minute. So 23 games, 11 winners, 48% strike rate. What that equates to is odds. And if you backed over 2.5 in every one of Man United's home games, when you'd had this odds bracket, you would have lost 3 points. So I can do it at a very basic level. I can also do it at a league level. I've asked to see a report. I didn't want to see a report. I can report on all that if I want to. I don't want to. Go back to my data sheet and my analytics list. And I can also do it at a league level. So I can click at a league level and say what happens in that league. So this is very much like the heat maps, but it's just an instant thing. So in the Premier League, when you've got 1.76 to 2, we've got 406 games, 221 winners, 54% strike rate, equivalent to odds of 1.84. And if you had backed every single game in the Premier League over 2.5, a shade of odds on, you would have made a whopping 4 points. About 2%, about 1%, sorry. So that's what this sheet enables me to do at that level, but I can also use it for XG. So what we're going to do now is we're going to run through some XG games. So all I'm going to do first is I'm going to filter this first half XG to greater than 1 as just as an example. So I only want to use those games, and that'll get rid of all my NAs there. So in effect, I've got today's games, so you could do this on FTS Advanced yourself. I've got today's games where the first half 6-game model is an XG greater than 1 goal in the first half. And again, I will start with games that are going. So I'm going to go to Rail Vallecano there, and I can just click that XG number. I can then ask it what market I want to look at, and I want to look at first half goal 1.5, so it just saves me shooting up the other end. When I click that, it goes and gets the odds bracket for me. Very clever in it. So in Rayo Vallecano's game today, first half 1.5 is between 3.51 and 4, and I'm going to click league, and I'm going to click XG, and this will basically tell me now that in the Spanish Primera, the first half 1.5 back, when the XG bracket is between 101 and 1.25, odds bracket 3.51 to 4. There's been 38 games, 11 winners, 29%, and you would have made a small profit. I'm just going to go across that game. I can go to the match XG and do exactly the same, 2.84. So you make a small profit there, and I can click XG. And there's been 23 games now where they've got a match XG of 6 games, 2.76 to 3, 8 winners, 35% strike rate. Just bear in mind these strike rates. That means you're losing 65% of the time if you were back in these bet and leave. Implied odds of 2.88, and you'd have actually made 6.5 points, because obviously we're back in at decent odds. But if we back at decent odds, what's the giveaway? We can go through long losing runs if we bet and leave. I'm looking to trade. I'm just going to go along all the XGs. Actually, I'm just going to hide some columns. Analysis columns only. That'll just give me, just hit a load of columns, so I can go along then to the match XG, and I'm going to go to the season one, still in the same game. Click XG, so I can check them very quickly. I can just see, so 43 games in the Spanish Primera, where the match XG is 2.26, 2.5, loses 17 points. And the first half XG on the season loses 5 points. So good 6-game XG stats for Rayo Vallecano, but not so good in the match XG. So if we wanted a cross-reference to, and I can just click down any XG number that I want in any league. I can do Rapid Vienna next, 3.05 match XG today in the 6th game. Click the button to see what odds. So now you can see the odds have come down 2.51 to 2.75, and click XG. 40 games for Rapid Vienna at home. In that XG bracket, 301 to 3.5. Odds bracket for first half 1.5, 2.51 to 2.75. Odds of 40. They've won nearly half of them there. 48%, 10% profit, 10 points profit, 9.47. Is everybody clear with what I'm doing now? I realise I'm looking there and clicking around, and obviously you're just going, but is everybody clear what I'm doing? So basically, I'm just clicking on a cell and then asking the data's just going and getting the historic for that team. I can do it at league level as well if I wanted to, which I'm going to revert to in a minute. So I'm doing it at league level. I can do it at team level as well if I wanted to. But obviously at team level, we're going to have smaller sample sizes. I like to do this stuff at league level. So if you look at your heat maps, that's exactly what they're doing on a heat map. We're going in at league level, saying when we back at these odds in that league, what happens? Chris Wilkinson, crystal clear. Lovely. Thank you. Just going to have a little sip. And I can do that for any market, so it doesn't have to be first half goal 1.5. I'm just going to give you some trades from that in a minute, but I can do it for any of these markets I wanted. So I can go over 2.5 back. All I've got to do is remember to click that and click XG, and now it's going to go and look and say, right, when we've been the over 2.5 back market, 301 to 3.5, odds of 1.76 to 2. So it's combining the XG with the odds bracket. When those, basically we're profiling games. When we got games in that profile, in that league, what's gone on? We've got 47 games, 26 winners, 55% strike rate, tiny profit. So obviously we could, and I've talked again on heat maps, we can go away and find things that we could say, well, I'll bet and leave that, and we'll take all the punishment that comes with that, the losing runs, again, go back to the podcast, estimated losing runs. I'm going to cover that a bit more tomorrow. I had a really good email from somebody after Monday's podcast on how they've built their systems, which I really like the way they've gone about it. So I'm going to cover that tomorrow. But I can go through any games. I could say, right, I only want to do certain leagues, or I only want to do green form or whatever, and click them. I've just got to make sure I set those odds. So Bilbao today is over. Just saves me going to find the odds. It just does it for me. Click XG. And you can see back in Bilbao. So this is where we get into lay territory. 20 Bilbao, Atletico Bilbao, 2.76 to 3.201 to 2.25 odds bracket. 21 games, only 6 have gone over 2.5 goals. So 29%. You know, on history, they're 3.5. You could lay that today between, what is it? What's the actual odds? Up here, over 2.5 Bilbao is 2.2. So that's basically where I was at. So I'd had this built so I could do that. Obviously, you'll see now I'm doing a lot of clicking about. It's fantastic. And if I wanted, I would sit here if I was on my own, trading on my own, and go, right, I've got an hour, I can sit. What market do I want to focus on? I only tend to focus on certain markets and do it. If I gave it to you lot, you'd be clicking around every market all day long going, oh, look at this. And you could literally find a bet probably in every single game. So that's why you're not getting it. But my next phase of that was actually when there's 100 fixtures on a Saturday. I think it was 103 yesterday, 75 or something today. Where do you start? What do you click? Where do you go? It's a lot of clicking. How many markets you're going to work through? Always trying to look at, build this list. All I want to get to is a list of games that I want to trade. I know the way I'm going to trade them, but I want to get those games out. And we've got all the tools that you've got, the stuff I've shown before is all perfectly viable. I just wanted to take another look at things from a slightly different way, from that sort of Kevin Kelly method evolution, really. So I basically had an auto scan system built in by Chris, where he basically I can put everything in here and scan it, and it gives me a list of games. So I have run that for 2.5 goals today, just now, and you can see now this lists all the games that I've got, all the teams. It's basically scanned that for me and run and said if I wanted to back over 2.5 based on XG, this is the XG it's based on. So it lists whether it's match XG or first half XG. This is the number of games. This is the number of wins. That's the strike rate. That's the profit or loss you made. This is the implied odds. So that takes about an hour to run, but I can just set it, run it, and I'm looking at one market over 2.5 back, and I could come down now and go, right, do I want to trade these? And I might look and go, I want 20 games is a bit, I want 40 or more games, something like that. Or I might want a minimum profit of 10 points or whatever. So I could just put a filter on at the top there if I wanted to. And go, I only want to play games where they've made more than 10 points. So just go greater than 10, something like that. And shorten that list down further. And I could sit right now and go, I'm going to trade those games if I wanted to. How would I trade them? I personally would trade them how I trade most of my 2.5 goal games, entering through the first 10 minutes. And then if I get the goal, I'd sit on it, and if I get back to my entry point, I'll scratch. I'm just looking now. Holston Kiel went 0-2, so that would have probably 68-77. Might not have traded that one. You might have been able to get out for a small loss. Mirandes has finished 2-1, so you've done all right there. Lille were 2-0 up at half time, so you've done all right there. Eintracht Frankfurt's already 2-1. Isn't it? Did I see they're leading? Yeah, they're leading 2-1 at half time. And Huesca has just kicked off. Man United, Man City. So Man United, Man City, based on first half XG total, 57-37 winners, 11 points profit. So there you go. So I can build myself a little list there of trading whatever market I want. I can just get it to scan and do it for me. But the market I really like, as I've said to you guys, is that 1.5 market. Up here, the first half 1.5, first half over 1.5 goals. This is a market I really like. And how would I trade that? Me personally, I don't like entering pre-match. I like to let the game kick off. This is a market that if you don't get a goal, really accelerates away from you quite quickly. Obviously, only about 70% of games have a first half goal as opposed to nearly 80% having a second half goal. It is the lower scoring half. So once you get 10 minutes into that, obviously the first half goal market's picking up space, but the people starting to think there's going to be 2 first half goals, got no chance. I'm not looking for 2 first half goals. Most of the time I'm looking for 1 goal and to trade it. and to either give me a chance of a nice green or give me a chance of a decent free shot at a decent win. So I will start from sort of 10, 15, sometimes even 20, depending on the starting price of games. You know, you can see you've got quite a range. You've got 2.34 here at Strong Godset up to 3.35 at Goas. You've got, you know, 3.5 in Brazil. So some of these you get quite nice prices. When they get to 10, 15 minutes, they can be getting up to 5, 6, 7. And I like to sort of get in that spot, sort of 5-ish through to double figures, 10, 12, 14, again, depending on the game, depending how much money's in the market, which sort of takes me from 10 minutes through to 30 minutes. So I'll just drip it in through that period. If you get a goal, then you can green up, or you can remove your liability and have a free shot at a really decent win. You know, you get 3 lots in 30 minutes. There was a game this afternoon, can't remember which one, Lille it was. Lille had a goal after goal on 32 and 42. There's plenty of games like that where you've got all 3 bits matched, 5, 8, 10, 5, 8, 12, something like that. And then all I do is I have a cover on 0.5. So it's like I put in the newsletter, I'll have 0.5% or 0.5 point on across that 3 drips to get my half point on first half, 1.5. And then once I get to 30 minutes, 35 minutes, I'll cover on the 0.5 first half goals. And then I can get in that, and usually between 2.5 to 3. I kind of like to aim for 3 upwards. So I can have 0.5 point there. If I get 1 goal, if I've got in at 3, I'll win 0.5 point in effect. I'll win a point on the 0.5, but I'm losing the first half bet, 1.5 bet. If I get 2 goals, then you can cop a really nice win, particularly if you've only removed liability. You're perfectly welcome to green up. You can get some really nice greens from that. You know, if you get all 3 match, get a goal on 30 minutes, you can just green up and done. So all those games are selected for me by running this method, by literally clicking through, looking at the XGs and the odds brackets using this. But now I've got a scan, so I can literally just click that, go down to first half over 1.5 back. Click it. I like league level, obviously. So you can do team level, but you just don't get enough games. You're only going to, you start placing things on, oh, Tottenham have got 4 games in that. I don't like stuff like that. I know there are people who work like that. It's not really for me, that sort of stuff at team level. You get, unless you can get a decent set of fixtures, then you're basing it on next to nothing. But you just literally click that, and I can go on Napoli and say Napoli have got 3.43. Click my little button there, click XG, and it will tell me teams in their teams in Italy, 33, only 7 games. So just get it in an instant. It takes literally a split second to get it. So I'm now going to show you a list of games for today just equalised, from now onwards, that I've just run through. I did it all earlier for you, that you can have a little look at if you want to. Before I show it, because I'm going to put it up and I'm going to leave. I'm conscious of, I want to make these short, sweet, done. Any questions? I'm going to cover a whole load of markets using this over the next, we've got 18 of these to go. 17 after today, or is it 18? 12, yeah, this is 12, 17, 18 to go. 30 minus 12 is 18 in. Ajax, what a shambles, 5-2. Trebles up, get the treble on. Have the boys had any, who've they got? Leverkusen, when's that Leverkusen? Old Andy and Mark's got City. They're both off at the same time, aren't they? The old tipping comp. These are the important things in my life. Not showing you like 1.5 trades. Is can we get the newsletter treble up, and can I hit the front in this tipping comp? Any questions? Anything you want to know? Do you understand about what I just said there? I'll be doing these now regularly. I've obviously been a slow start to the season, and we've had 2 international breaks. And I've been ill this week. Wedding last weekend. Nonsense. I shouldn't say that in case they watch it. The real clear thing with me here is I look for profit overall in my numbers. So I'm looking for profit overall, but I'm always looking to trade these. You know, I could set and forget them, but you know, you've got to remember those longest losing runs. I like to get in and know what I'm going to do on a goal. And as long as you've got a list and clear instructions of how you're going to operate that list, and you accept, you're still going to have the odd bad day. You're going to have games on here, you know, like 2.5, and you know, 4 of them finish 0-0. Shit happens. There's nothing you can do about that. But it's really clear that you've got a list. For me, that's your trading plan. That's my list. That's how I'm going to trade it. And if you stick to that, genuinely, you won't go wrong. So I'm going to put some games up now. One of them, I think, is in play from the first one. I'll make that a bit bigger for you. So, oh, I can't make that bigger. Can I make that bigger? I took a picture of it to make it. No, I can't. Right, okay. Well, that's, see, another beautiful production from FTS Studios. So Rayo Vallecano, but you can freeze frame this. You can take a screenshot. You can get your phones out now and take a picture. Rayo Vallecano, which is in play. Lugano, 2.54. Rapid Vienna. Antalya Sport, Inter, Atletico Bilbao, Corinthians, Botafogo. I'll give you one little snippet. I've done some work on this over the last week or so. You've got the odds down here on the right-hand side. They were the odds this morning. If they have shortened at all, then I would almost certainly play it. I'm certainly finding that if any money comes into the market for these, they are very, very strong. So this is obviously the odds that we've run at 7 o'clock this morning. So if you look 5 minutes before, if this had gone out to 3.84, you could sort of say, well, I won't do ones that drift, but if any that shorten slightly, doesn't matter whether it's 2.52 or 2.46, if they shorten up, they're the ones you play. Now, Darren has asked a question. Let me get that up. Is it odds dependent when you enter? Higher odds enter earlier, low odds enter later. I've been doing 5-10 minute for entry for all and still making profit. Yeah, I think, again, like I said to you earlier, it's just having a plan. You've got to say, I tend not to go in before 10 minutes. But obviously, if you've got a game like, here we got a wide range of leagues. I like these here, the Atletico Bilbao Corinthians. I'll kind of say to myself, just looking at the starting price, I'll get in at 5 and above, and 5 may come on 8-9 minutes, but I'll go. So I kind of have a sort of 10 minute or the price of 5 if it gets there. But I don't want to be waiting 25 minutes to get my first entry. So some of these 2.54, it's going to take a longer time to get to 5. So I'll sort of start from 10 minutes with that. And again, you've just got to have that in your head, what you're going to do in each game. So the 3s for me, it would be if there's no goal when it gets to 5, I'll start dripping in. The lower ones, it would be if it gets to 10 minutes and there hasn't been a goal, I'll start dripping in. And I accept that I'm going to have a bigger average price on these ones than I will on those ones. You kind of want to get all 3 drips in, certainly by 30 minutes, sort of between, for me, 10 to 30 minutes is where I like to get everything in, get a couple in, 10, 20, and then a third one in nearer the end. Because the real, you know, you're making money doing it. The real profit is getting those big wins, that the games like Lille where you get the 2 goals at the end. That's where your money is. And if you do get all your bets in, one bit of advice I'll give people, if you get both bets in, so you've got all your 1.5 in and you are then covered on the 0.5 and you get a goal, so you've obviously won that money on the 0.5, and the price on the 1.5 has shortened, and you will see, most likely you will see green there, or you will see the opportunity to remove your liability. I'm going to urge you not to. The bet has cost you nothing. You've covered on the 0.5. You've got that goal. The bingo moments are when you get the second goal. And all the time, if you keep removing that liability and you know, when you've won that cover bet, if you're still removing liability or greening, you're just taking away that option for profit all the time. The bets cost you nothing. You've had that cover bet. I know it's a great temptation to see it then. You go, oh, I could have taken 100 quid then. But you know, I've had decent 4-figure wins just sitting where it's been 0-0 on 40 minutes and then it goes bang, bang. But that temptation to take that money out, if it sort of comes 32, 33 minutes, that Lille game being a prime example, again, that's a word I used to the guys earlier, is tradecraft. That's part of your tradecraft. You've got to forget about the one game over the long term. If you've got your cover bet and you've won it, don't touch the other bet, just let it run, because it was when they land, that's when you get the big money. Right, any other question? I've got it all finished up before. What's it doing kicking off at 3:30? When does football ever kick off at 3:30? I don't watch all this garbage. What do they do? Is it because the clocks went? Or is it because they can't behave in Manchester? They can't be out after dark or something? What's all that about? Right, if there's no more questions, that is FTS Live Trading 12. I'll be doing one a week now. I'll be pushing on. Want to get these all done. If you've got anything you'd like to see in them, feel free to email support. But basically, I'm just going to be covering a load of market selection methods, doing this, building trading plans. Off you go. We can talk about staking, elements like that. But that bit of advice I've given you right at the end there, that is absolute key. Honestly, do not cash that second bet if you've got the cover bet made. Let it run. It's a bit like the 1.5. You can take a tiny red, or you can let it run for both goals. No, let it go for both goals. That's where the money is, getting those 4 wins. Right, arrivederci. I'm back to normal now, but obviously I've been rough, but I'm getting better. Podcast out Monday, Tuesday. Everything will be back to normal. I'll be online plenty, and we'll be charging on. If you're a Manchester City or a Manchester United supporter, good luck. I hope you get 0-0 draw. No, I don't actually. We won over 2.5, don't we? Thank you all. This will be available to watch any time for you to watch back, guys, and I will be back with you next week.